This video is for level 3 choreographers. Here are some of the movements that level 3 students can do. The main thing a level 3 student learns is croisé, learning the difference between croisé and effacé, learning how to stay turned out when they're in those positions, and learning how to correctly gauge the angle are the lessons they start learning from class number 1. So in your choreography for level 3s, you always want to pay off that work by having a ton of arabesque, especially third arabesque, because I find that feels the most natural to the most girls and looks complicated while being fairly easy to perform, and is the most forgiving as far as if the palmant of the turnout isn't very well executed. So third arabesque is usually a foundation of level 3 work. Now level 3 is also branching out. Something that I often teach in level 3 is waltzing, which is called ballet, of course, and that can be done in croisé. They can also learn how to do promenade, like that. They can learn to do 3 different kinds of jumps: seesaw, glissade, and assemblée. So glissade or seesaw or assemblée are all available and on the table to be used. Most of your arabesques still need to have your your working leg on the floor. Very few level 3s can actually sustain even a 45-degree height. However, especially if you're doing first arabesque, it is possible to step up onto the releve, hold it briefly, and then fall out of it into a position that feels really natural to them. So don't go for anything complicated here, but if you want to go arabesque and then you step out of it into, say, a chassé, or just walking into the next movement, that's fine. At most you could get away with and then spinning. Okay, keep the connecting steps as simple as possible to give the girls time to focus on the actual technique heavy positions. But if you find a complicated little moment, you don't have to be afraid of it either. If they need to do a little fancy footwork to get somewhere, they can. They're now able to handle that, but you just want to keep it at a minimum, knowing that they need to focus on growing their skills so that they can get to level 4. Now, because they can't lift their foot off the floor in arabesque very easily, it's very hard for them to actually achieve an attitude. However, something to mix up among the arabesques is a tendu devant, plie, reaching downwards. This is really pretty for level 3s. And also this is even more fail-proof because dropping the arm doesn't ruin it quite as much as dropping this arm ruins it. But either way, the teacher can explain those really well within what they're already teaching in the bar routine and the arabesque routines. The girls are not yet learning pirouette or chaîné spins. However, if you pick only one thing and you keep everything else a little bit simpler, it is possible to get away with teaching one student or the entire class of level 3s either of those things, as long as your expectations are low enough to match the level of this level 3 class in particular. You can remember that some level 3s have been in for a few years and some are brand new, and with that in mind, it's possible to split the choreography and have one person or a group of people doing something and one person or a group of people doing something else. And it's possible that pirouette or chaîné turns can be some of those things. However, you need to understand that unless the level 3 class is pretty high caliber, getting the whole class to do those is not going to be likely. And if you're trying to teach only a small group or one student to do them, the teacher is not going to have time to work sufficiently on them, so they'll be relying largely on tutorial. and videos that are already posted about those movements. And so you want to use them sparingly. However, if there's some place where they seem really important to the choreography, it's possible to negotiate that with the teacher and find students that are able to perform it. You need to keep in mind that level 3s do not yet have willowy, fluid arms. So you're not going to get any of the kind of mermaid style stuff going on. Their arms still kind of move as like a chunky unit. And you're often going to see them holding their arms here or here because they're still working on the strength to get up to this position. However, it is a primary focus of the year, and it's important to pay off primary focuses in the choreography at the end of the year. So don't be afraid to use arm positions like that, but don't use arm movements that are beyond their skill level. Level 3s love drama, and so as a way of breaking up some of the intensity of the ballet, you can have them cut to modern at times when it fits the music and turn their feet in and do stuff like this or this or anything that feels really strong if it goes with their character and with their dance. Subtlety is going to be more of a level 4 art, and with level 3 you're not going to get very accurate emotions from their faces, and so if you want to have an emotion come out, you're going to need to use the entire body to show it. So if you are going to show sadness, you're probably going to want to do what I call silhouette acting, which actually is hiding the face completely and using the body position alone to show the emotion. So, an example is fear or sadness, to have the girl sitting like this, or sitting like this, or facing the front, or doing something along these lines. You can get some pretty silhouettes that will show an emotion that do not require the girls to do a large amount of facial expressions. Remember that croisé and proper turnout in croisé and proper second position arms are still primary as far as what they're learning in class and what they're struggling to accomplish. So you want to stay not too far away from that stuff. Along the same lines of the pirouette and the spins, I just want to note that you can also put tour jeté or a grand jeté in there. You just need to make sure that you have your expectations not too high, and that you don't expect the girls to perform those to a high capacity, or to have time to work on them to a high capacity, because they are going to be focusing on the arabesque, the croisé, and that turnout and the second position arms as primary things. However, to give the girls a little bit of a treat, it's nice to put something along those lines, something a little more sparkly, into the mix. Just a couple more notes. When you teach when you choreograph sissons, glissades, and assemblées into your dance, you probably should pick one, at most two. And if you're going to do two, maybe split them into two different songs, because those jumps are similar enough to be really confusing. And so it's pretty hard on the teacher to have to teach two of those jumps back to back. You also can note that level 3s love partner work. And so if you have opportunities to kind of give them a chance to come together, go ahead and do that. However, you never want to break it down and go as simple as the level 1s go, where they're holding hands and walking in a circle, or where they're holding hands and chassing in a circle, or they're skipping around a dot. It always needs to be more intricate. And so something you can do along those lines is, if the circle center is here, you can have them be going into the center and up, and then here, and then up. And this is a moment where turnout starts to not feel very important, because everyone's at a different angle to the audience. And it does give them a little bit of a rest and a little bit of a break. And yet the turnout is still technically required, so the teacher can still ask them for it, but it doesn't have a large audience impact if they do it badly. So sometimes if a class is a little bit struggling, the teacher may request to have something along those lines put in order to give them a little bit of a break. Level 3s can also learn changement and échappé jumps, and so if you want to do those, that's totally on the table. It would just need to be right with the music, because otherwise it's really easy to get everyone jumping at different times, so it would have to be very strong beats and a very strong reason for those jumps to be in there. You can always also do a position in écarté where one knee is bent and they're reaching down, or where you are in parallel position but croisé and you're lifting a foot to retire and going here. Those are two fairly forgiving positions that are still perfect ballet technique. And so those are some options to get you started on level 3 choreography. Thanks so much.